Welcome, everyone, to the Temple of Limitless Light. Tonight, we will be doing a guided visualization of the path of Shin, the path of the 21st path is the perpetual intelligence. By why it is so called? Because it regulates the motions of the sun and the moon in their proper order, and an orbit convenient for it. So this is the 20th card in the tarot. Sorry about lighting looks bad. The judgment card. Fix that. There we go. The judgment card. Leading from Malkuth to Hod in the tree. Can you still read? Is it bright enough for you?
Yes, thank you.
So if you would like to join the temple, we have a Facebook group. I'll link in the notes. And we meet every Wednesday or so at 6:30 Eastern time by Zoom. So if you'd like to join in processes like this, feel free to join. So what we will do tonight is I will create sacred space by doing a lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, and then I will open a gate to the other world, to the world of Shin, judgment, and then we will do a guided visualization for the path of Shin. And I'm going to invite you to sit back, relax, and allow the visions to appear for you. Ready? So we start every ritual. Qabbalistic cross. Help us join together as an egregore. Then I will create sacred space using the LBRP. So let's have a few deep belly breathes, bottom of your abdomen. Breathe a few times. Allow all the stress and all the day's busyness to fade away. Visualize yourself growing larger and larger. Your head moving up through the atmosphere to outer space, past the moon, until the earth is but a small ball beneath your feet. Above your head, visualize a ball of pure brilliance. Reach up and touch the brilliance. Bring it down to your forehead and vibrate. Bring the light down to your heart, where you can quietly vibrate the name of your inner guru, or of your higher self, or Adonai. Bring the light down through the center of your being, deep into the very fiery core of the earth, where you're standing in a column of light. Vibrate. Bring the light up to your left shoulder. Visualize a ball of blue flame representing Hesed, unselfish love. Vegebura. Bring the light across to your right shoulder. Visualize a ball of red flame representing your will. Vegebura. Clasp your arms. Leolam. Amen. The lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Yehovah. Exarte. Adonai Beitome. Kumaya. Agila. Nanuteya. Before me, Raphael. Behind me, Gabriel. At my right hand, Mikael. At my left hand, Uriel. Around us flame the pentagrams, and within us shines the six-rayed star. The opening of the gate to the path of Shin. I open the gates between worlds. I summon the high priestess as the guide who will aid us on our journey. I open the gates between worlds. I summon the guardian as the hermit who will face us, try to prevent our passage. I open the gates between worlds. I invoke the tower as the ordeal we must overcome, the enemy within our heart that we must overcome by our own courage, or we turn back forever. I open gate between worlds. Oda sicle la anta lo selque. I open the path of Shin. Ole iodo. E polea e oveat de gime halorum. Odi ogana sage. Isabes asare de eozoian de yadnon. Od laho ka melkith o donafenel a la fide anane el de al hominem iodefe. Well is orama alonishi id ananel de Shin. Das el de Kisilat o odin zoda. Adesa de ine de priam la akripmi kado das akremesa. Itran toresu de a o exele, de oliprit al oli quinin al elega ipragma. O ganasaga des ol yudma ete itran guma zoda ol. Od el tiran grande caselat. O de efe deado o maxili das ol izirdo. El ca da Sicile. Od agonusuga isabas ac e galores adesa agozien de yadam. Do vanazim de mekazuta paleoyonat iodo iofe asicle de las olin. Limpa, Sabea, Heestel, Gozolam, Rosina, Hegoso, Gozamal, Exopelim, Sorathan, Salatin, Besaba, Sepalis, Samit, Sanito, Petohalim, Nasim, Ganges, the Etos. Amen. I open the path of Shin. Open the 31st pass, the path of the perpetual intelligence. Got a visualization of the path of Shin. Behind the darkness of your closed eyelids, you begin to visualize the astral temple of the Sephiroth of Malkuth. As the journey begins, you give the sign of the Intra. Once again, the 10-sided temple of Malkuth formulates around you with its black and white tiled floor and earthen walls. The sacred flame burns brightly on the central altar. The brazier of incense, the fireplace, the fountain, and the millstone are all familiar sights to you now. You intone the name Adonai Haaretz Sandalfan and Ashim. From the clouds of incense to the east, Sandalfon appears. You salute her with the sign of the Intra, and she answers with the sign of silence. She speaks. You have entered the kingdom of Malkuth, the queen. By what symbol dost thou enter unto here?
By the symbol of fire and the symbol of spirit. You hold up the talisman. I seek the path of Shin, the path of rebirth and initiation.
Sandalfon gives a nod of awareness. She speaks. In the courtyard, the Hebrew tabernacle of the wilderness, there stood a fiery altar, the altar of burnt offerings, whereon was offered the sacrifice of animals, which symbolized the Kiflaroth, or evil demons, who inhabit the plane contiguous into and below the material universe. It was written, and when after all the phantasms have been banished, thou shalt see holy and formless fire, that fire which doth darts and flash through the hidden depths of the universe. Hear thou the voice of fire.
Sandalfon leads you to the northeast, where there is a great archway of flaming red stones, bearing on its keystone the letter Shin in brilliant white. Before the door is a veil made from the tarot trump of the judgment. The archangel traces a fire triangle, and the veil parts and vanishes. The door leading to the 31st path is carved from pure fire opal. You then hold out the talisman and trace with it the letter Shin. The doors open outwards and you begin your journey. You find yourself in a Greek temple. The great sanctuary is rectangular in shape, built from light gray limestone and surrounded on all sides by a Doric colonnade. The temple is dedicated to 3 gods known as Qabbiri, or the great gods. 3 stone altars are before you, each topped with a temple flame. They are each engraved with one of the names of the gods, the great, the powerful, and the helpful. They are the fiery sons of Hephaestus, the god of the forge, and they are said to be sworn to the service of the greater deities of the earth, such as Rhea and Demeter.
Turning, you walk to the entrance of the sanctuary. To your surprise, a red lion is resting in the middle of the entranceway. The lion yawns, exposing its teeth in cat fashion, and gets up, sauntering out into the courtyard. You follow the creature into the courtyard, but it has disappeared. Before you are 2 enormous bronze statues, one masculine and one feminine, representing the heavens and the earth. You passed beyond the courtyard and found yourself in a craggy mountain-top clearing that is dotted with olive trees. You are surrounded by a large gathering of people. who are obviously celebrating some important event. It is mid-evening, and in the brisk, salty air tells you that the sea is not far off. Torches have been shoved into the ground to provide illumination. One of the celebrants informs you that the festival is on its third day. The revelry has been continuous, yet the participants show no sign of fatigue. You inquire as the nature of the celebration, and you are told that you are standing on the soil of the great goddess Demeter's sacred grove on the island of Samothrace in the Aegean Sea. This is the site of the ancient mysteries of initiation, the oldest rites in all of Greece. You ask to become a candidate in the mysteries. After some discussion with a few of the priests, your request is granted. 3 men bring you a plain brown tunic to wear. It is the robe of the candidate, and you are given the title of Kosmilos, the attendant. You notice that the others in the crowd also wear the robe of the candidate.
Purple-cloaked priests, known as the Sai, seem almost possessed as they dance a kind of war dance, leaping in spirals and armed with shields and javelins. Warriors, sailors, shepherds, women, and even children take to the dance, stamping their bare feet in the soil of Demeter's sacred grove, carrying offerings of grain, bread, and wine to the goddess. Periodically, all participants shout the word Iua in unison. The revelers whirl around the flagstone enclosures surrounding a large public hearth fire called a Hestia. Statues of the goddess Hestia flank the fireplace, while a few of the more brazen dancers leap over the open flame. Parched revelers drink from flasks of water and wine. You expect to see great tables of exotic food, but there is nothing to eat. All offerings are food, are strictly for the goddess. The participants have been fasting for 3 days. The sounds of reed pipes, drums, chants, and cymbals raised to a deafening roar that continues well into dusk. It is a very noisy celebration.
With the full arrival of nightfall, the celebration turns more somber. Pine torches are passed out among the participants to be lighted from the Hestia. Then, single file, the group proceeds up a well-worn hillside path, past rocky outcroppings and stunted mountain trees. The procession eventually winds through the darkness to a rocky edge of a cliff, where the mouth of a large cavern is flanked by carved images of 2 dogs holding great torches in their jaws. This is the cave of Zarietha, the grotto of Hecate, the dark goddess of the moon and of the underworld. One by one, the celebrants file into the gaping mouth of the earth, with a slight feeling of deja vu left over from a similar excursion on the path of Tao. You follow into the dark passageway. The tunnel leads downward. Torches lining the walls throw a reddish light into the chamber, and you are able to see fairly well. However, the path is stifling and hot. Steam rises up from the cracks in the tunnel floor, and it feels as though you're walking through molten bowels of the earth. Acidic odors drift upward, lava and liquefied iron. The atmosphere suddenly seems volatile and explosive. Beneath your feet, the earth seems to rumble, groaning with pangs of volcanic pressure. Your ears prick up the slow rhythmic sound of metal striking metal, a hammer pounding iron, and the hissing of steam as flaming hot metal meets water. You find yourself in a great underground chamber with a high ceiling, surrounded by the purple-clad Sai priests, bearing torches in one hand and javelins in the other. Gone is their formal reverie. They are silent and still, caught in the seriousness of the moment. You noticed other people who were formerly dressed as candidates are now dressed in the purple cloth of initiates. You are the final candidate for the mysteries in this night. In the center of the cavern is a great roaring flame. Huge brazier of fire casts thick clouds of incense to the ceiling. Hot air, together the billowing smoke and intense heat, make you lightheaded. Sweat flows out of every pore.
A priest steps forward to face you. He is the Qoes priest, the cleanser of sin. He addresses you sternly and says, "Stoop not down into the darkly splendid world, wherein continually lieth a faithless death, and Hades wrapped in gloom, delighting in unintelligible images, precipitous, winding a black, ever-rolling abyss, ever espousing a body unluminous, formless, and void." The Qoes priest asks you to confess whatever sins or injustices you have committed in the past, things that weigh heavily on your heart. Searching the innermost part of your soul, you focus on that offense you committed which troubles you the most. You are reluctant to do this, for it is difficult to admit your faults, even to yourself, much less in front of the entire assembly of initiates. But you realize that it would be a catharsis, a healing experience, without which no spiritual progress can be made. Swallowing your pride and holding out the talisman containing the symbols of fire and spirit, you confess your greatest sin before the Qoes priest and the entire group. The Psi priests seem to fade from view as you begin to hallucinate from the lack of oxygen in the stuffy chamber. In the stifling mist, you see the face of the red lion. This transforms into the brilliant figure of a pure white sphinx in the midst of a flaming white-hot glory. The creature addresses you in your mind.
The Sphinx of Egypt spake and said, I am the synthesis of the eternal elemental forces. I am also the symbol of man. I am life and I am death. I am the child of the night of time. I am the soul in twin aspect, united to the higher by purification, perfected by suffering, glorified through trial. I have come where the great gods are, through the power of the mighty name.
Two priests came forward and grabbed you roughly by the arms, shoving you unceremoniously into the central flame. The heat of the fire envelops you. Your clothing is incinerated and the hairs of your body singed. The talisman of fire and spirit that you carry is utterly consumed. You feel intense pain as you endure this baptism of fire, but it is not an unbearable pain. Instead, you have a sense that all of your impurities, your body's toxins, and your personal vices are being burned away. Your sins are being purged from you. It is an exhilarating feeling. You hear the voice of the Sphinx as it speaks to you.
All things which issue from the one, the source of sources, and conversely go back to the one, are divided into many bodies. For not in the matter did the source of fire, which is in the beyond, first enclose its power and acts, but in mind. For the framer of the fiery world is the mind of mind, who first sprang from the mind, clothing the one fire with another fire, binding them together. The second intellect is a skilled worker, for he is dispenser of the life-giving fire that fills up the life-giving womb of Hecate and pours upon the connectors a force of fruitful and very potent fire. From the source of sources, the birth of the multicolored matter leaps forth. From there, a lightning bolt sweeps along, obscures the flower of fire as it leaps into the hollows of the worlds. Thence a fiery whirlwind, drawing down the brilliance of the flashing flame, penetrating the abysses of the universe. Thence all things extend their wondrous rays downward. From him leap forth all relentless thunders, and all the lightning receiving womb of the shining ray of Hecate, who is generated from the Father. From him leap the girding flower of fire, and the powerful breath located beyond the fiery poles.
The hands of the Psy priest reach in through the flames to grasp you. Their sinewy arms pull you out of purifying flames. Steam rolls off your bright red, naked skin. You are unsteady on your feet, but you are unharmed. The priests gently wrap you in the purple cloth of an initiate. They place a crown of olive twigs on your head. Before you, the vision of the Sphinx continues as the creature again speaks.
After the self-generated source of sources, through his works, he sowed the bond of love, heavy with fire, into all things, in order that the all might continue to love for an eternity. The soul, being a brilliant fire by the power of the Father, remains immortal and is all the mistress of life. It fills up many wombs of the world. The center of Hecate is born in the midst of the fathers. In the left flank of Hecate exists the source of virtue. Around the hollow of her right flank, a great stream of primordial generated soul gushes forth in abundance, totally ensouling light, fire, ether, and the worlds. As if having filled all souls with a deep love, the Father mixed the spark of the soul with the harmonious qualities of the intellect and the divine will. To these he added a third, pure love, as the guide and the holy bond of all things. Unwearied doth nature rule over the worlds and the works, and above the shoulders of the great goddess is nature in her vastness exalted. Truly, Rhea is the source and the stream of blessed intellectual realities, where she first in power receives the birth of all these in her inexpressible womb and pours forth this birth on the all as it runs its course.
The vision of the white Sphinx disappears. In its place is a vision of the burly smith god Hephaestus, standing over an anvil, pounding the red-hot metal with a hammer. Behind the god is the forge of the holy fire and the ever-burning flame. The piece of hot metal Hephaestus is working on seems to be triangular. The god holds the metal on the anvil with iron tongs. The sweat of the god forms fiery droplets at his brow, which fall on the hot metal and evaporate the hiss. The air is stuffy and humid with steam. Sparks fly wherever the hammer hits the metal. Your head begins to clear as the vision of the god fades. Before you is the Qoes priest. In the palm of his hand, he holds a triangle made of iron, like the one forged by Hephaestus. Before your eyes, the metal triangle becomes a white-hot flame. The Qoes priest holds the tongue of the fire against your chest, and the flame is absorbed into your heart. A feeling of warmth radiates from your chest to every part of your body. The priest explains.
This is the sacred fire that was stolen from the forges of the god Hephaestus by the Titan Prometheus, whose name means forethought. Prometheus hid a brand of the eternal flame in a hollowed stalk and carried it back to the world of humankind. For an instant, you have a vision of a flaming meteorite streaking across the sky as it falls to earth. He did this so humankind could develop the arts of civilization, but his act of kindness towards humans and his consequential sacrifice resulted in something far more important. For this flowering flame that burns in your heart is sacred fire, the spiritual will and humanity that brings us closer to that which is divine. May the flower of fire keep you pure, ever consecrated to the highest. Through it, may you pledge always to act virtuously. May it protect you from all evil and imbalance.
The Sai priests stamp their feet, raise their javelins, and shout, Iwa, to end the ceremony. You are quickly ushered to the surface and back to the grove of the goddess Demeter, where the banquet awaits the hungry ritual goers. You thank many of the participants in the ceremony, but they merely smile, shake their heads, and give the sign of silence.
You are elated by this adventure, changed forever by the experience. You feel connected to something greater than yourself. From this day forward, you pledge yourself to the service of the path of light. You will always strive to become more than human, rise above the ashes of your old self. After a few moments of contemplation, you turn to leave.
The journey back is swift. Soon you're at the wooden door of the Temple of Malkuth, and once inside, Sandalphon seals the portal and covers it with the veil of the tarot card of judgment.
Standing at the altar flame, you feel totally rejuvenated. In fact, you feel so strengthened that you're quite willing to rush ahead into the 30th path. Sandalphon persuades you otherwise. Bidding her farewell, you salute with the protection sign, and in turn, she gives the sign of silence. You turn and leave the Temple of Malkuth and re-enter the physical world. I will now do the Gate of Return. Gate of Return is when I will come from the underworld back to normal world. I will come forth by day. I open the gates between worlds. I come forth by day. That's the end of the ritual.